respected brothers and sisters, so this kind of function, quite familiar for me. And the Ladakh is also the ancient, also the dance or the songs, now quite familiar. So this time, once more, you see, you organize this. I very much appreciate. Thank you. When I use the word brothers, sisters, really we are very, very close brothers, sisters. And not only I think physically, you see, close, but also I think spiritually, mentally, I think very, very close. So therefore, I very much appreciate then my brother from Tortuk, it's a special thank you give me this hat. So thank you very much. Although here quite hot, so this hat provides even more hot. This time, I want to see some questions from the guest, and then some. I want to have some questions and answer, rather than just I speak like that. So, how can we arrange some microphone? So they basically, of course, I think we Tibet, very one ancient sort of nation and very rich cultural heritage, but this moment, very difficult situation. But in any way, you see, we have truth. I always describe or express power of truth and the power of gun. Long run, power of truth is much stronger than power of gun. That our fundamental belief. And then moreover, our last few decades, now in China, around 400 million Buddhists. Now, many of these Buddhists really showing genuine appreciation and genuine interest about, Tibetan Buddhist tradition. So we both, the Chinese Buddhists and Buddhism and Tibetan Buddhism, same source from Nalanda. So now many Chinese scholars and practitioners, they realize that the Tibetan Buddhist tradition is pure lineage of Nalanda tradition. So many Chinese Buddhists is following Tibetan Buddhism. So these are some positive sort of factor like that. So now point is, our own land is difficult. So the preservation of rich Tibetan Buddhism, Buddhist knowledge, and Buddhist culture, whole Himalayan range from Ladakh up to Men, Arunachal, Malay. It's the same Buddhist culture and Buddhist tradition. So you have freedom. So we are very much hoping people who share same spirituality and tradition, who have freedom in free country. So we are very much hoping, you can preserve. And when things change, in our own land, you see, you can help us to restore, like that. So in free country, about 150,000 Tibetan refugee community, we are trying to preserve our own knowledge, traditional knowledge. That's Buddhist philosophy. So like some of our monastic institution, so when the number of students very, very few, the people from Ladakh, from Kunu, Laos Piti, this area, as well as Pasachuti, Arunachal, you see, they are very, very helpful. Now, at least, I think a few hundreds, you see, they already completed their study and helping in our own monastic institution as well as in their own, also their home or homelands. So I really appreciate. I think the darkest period of Tibetan history, around 2000 years, you see, during that period, these people, is really, no matter how small, but you are helping. So, on behalf of 6 million Tibetan people, I want to thank you. And still, you see, your help is we need. Then the way for preservation of our knowledge, not the externals of dress or these things. This is not much important. Frankly speaking, when I saw, you see, your dress, this looks very uncomfortable. But okay, your traditional dress also, you see, important, good. Occasionally you can wear. But the really important thing is our knowledge, our experience, our daily life. Daily life should be more compassionate life. The compassion. All major religious tradition carry same message of love, message of compassion. So, the Tibetan community, Buddhist community, firstly, you should carry the message of love in your daily life. And that is, all those various different religious traditions is very much emphasis these things. However, I think human being, now according to some scientists, now basic human nature is more compassionate. Then if we use our intelligence, look, today's world, and even past, I think in human history, a lot of violence, a lot of killing. Even today, now killing. So now only sort of, the method to reduce these things, not by force, not by money, not by some manipulated sort of activities, but sincere motivation, affection, love. So we fully committed promotion of compassion through education, and that also based on secular principle, not based on religion. So we are really now committed. Actually, perhaps end of this year or next year, we are ready to produce a draft curriculum of secular ethics. So mainly we are carrying this work in America and also extend some extent in Europe and also India. So now, whether believer or non-believer, the compassionate sort of feeling should be our part of our life. That's the and then in order to preserve that, according Buddhist tradition, particularly the Nalanda tradition, use maximum way our intelligence. So now many scientists also is showing interest because we are using fully about our intelligence, our brain, not just faith. So therefore, you see, I often used to telling one of Buddha's sort of advice. You see, he mentioned, "Oh, my follower, Buddhist monk, Buddhist scholar, should not accept my teaching out of faith, out of devotion, but rather thorough investigation and experiment." So that means Buddha himself, you see, emphasizes importance of our intelligence. It's a critical investigation. That's very important. So therefore, these very, very rich, sort of complicated philosophical views is very essential in order to preserve. Just through faith and some ritual, I am quite sure that way of preservation, I don't think can last long. Right? So use maximum way our intelligence and use our intelligence critical sort of investigation. Then the Buddha Dharma will remain, I'm quite sure, another few centuries. So therefore, as it is the proper way for preservation of Buddha Dharma, particularly the Nalanda tradition, the study is extremely important. So some part of Kanjuru Tenjuru, just they are sort of because of the subject is just a science, not a religious matter. Then another portion is certain sort of philosophical views, including quantum physics. So these are this because of the subject, because of the academic subject. So we can use whether believer or non-believer, and believe this religion or that religion doesn't matter. We human beings, you see, we need more knowledge about science. External sort of matter is concerned, the modern science highly developed. But when the internal mind or emotions or consciousness or these things is concerned, the modern psychology, I think compare the Nalanda or ancient Indian sort of psychology, and particularly the Nalanda sort of psychology, I think modern psychology is, I think, very primitive. I can say, as a result, over 30 years sort of serious discussion with modern scientists, I'm quite sure. You see, the ancient Indian sort of psychology is highly developed. Now time come, we must share this knowledge with the rest of humanity through education. That's my belief. So, your preservation of these sort of knowledge is not only concern for Buddhist community, but I think whole 7 billion human beings, I think need, you see, these knowledge in order to tackle our destructive emotion. So that's my view. So then I prefer some questions.
So I wanted to know that how to start learning Buddhism, because it gets very complicated when it comes to say when to go. Like when I go to some preachings, it gets me very I cannot get it completely because it's very complicated for me. So to start with, how should I go and where should I start?
I think any subject, the university level, so the certain subject, you see, cannot sort of understand by kindergarten student. But You see, step by step. First class, second, third, go like that. Then college, then finally, you see, they become expert. Like that. It's a Buddhist philosophy also, you see, learned by step. Dura, Katoka Malayane, Sunjigi, any rimbe azu shungi labor.
So if you look at the Buddhist literature written by, for example, Tibetan masters, you'll find the writings on Buddhist logic primer for logic, and then once the students have learned those primers of logic, then they are let into the higher, more advanced studies of Buddhist logic and philosophy.
I myself, when I first start learning Buddhist philosophy, firstly, I'm a reluctant student. I have no interest. My only interest is play. Then the time for my session come, the tutor come. So I almost feel the whole sky become dark. But then, I think age 7, I start learning. Then, around, I think about 13, 11, 12, 13, gradually I develop more interest. Then 16 years, my age, more interest about practice. And then, 24, my age, I final examination. Then the politically situation become very different. So then finally I escape, then reach India. After I reach India, I always keep those texts. I think at least 15 books. Whenever I have opportunity, I read, and then also I received some teaching or explanation from some top scholars, like that. So see, it is illogical. No, you see, impossible to study Buddhist philosophy. It is something very complicated. That's, I think, illogical sort of expression. Any difficult, complicated things, you see, we have to start step by step. Okay. So if you have some interest, must start. Then after 1 year, 10 years, 15, 20 years, then you get the real knowledge. Then for that reason, you see, debate also very, very helpful. So some of these monasteries, now they carry, you see, they carry the method, this debate method. It's extremely, very, very helpful, very useful. You see, that method is sharpening our mind, and the kasuta chamba nyobuchen,
and then it also helps in quick thinking.
So very helpful. So I already asked a Tibetan sort of refugee community, the all student in school should learn that, you see, method. Nowadays, some even lay old people also now start, you see, this debate method. It's something very, very, very essential. Very helpful, very essential. So I want to in Tibetan community, those monasteries traditionally not that kind of sort of practice. I also, you see, introduce all these monasteries traditionally no use that sort of dialectical sort of debate. So I asked them, should start. And then also nunnery. In the past, not practice that. I appeal them. They also then, last now, I think almost 20 years, they seriously, carry, study with this dialectical sort of method. Like that. So therefore, now Tibetan community, refugee community, now because of these practices become something familiar like that. That is important. I think in Ladakh, I think some monastery, I think reluctant. I think that's due to narrow-mindedness. If I frankly state, narrow-mindedness. You see, narrow-mindedness is the obstacle of further development. Okay. So now we are 21st century. You see, education highly developed and continuously developed with scientific knowledge. So such circumstances, just faith. Then eventually, I think, Kasuda,
yes. And eventually you will actually have no success.
I was traveling from Jammu to Srinagar almost 2 years back. I came across a sight which affected me very deeply. I saw a small puppy. It was
what? Puppy?
A puppy. A small dog.
Chidu. Oh, yes.
A small dog. Basically, just right next to it was the mangled corpse of another small dog. Probably they both were from the same female dog. And this puppy was eating the flesh of that puppy. And it was in Udhampur. That very deeply affected me and my thoughts and my conception of life. That coupled with my when I travel, I see a lot of suffering around me. And for example, just the other day when I was in Delhi, I saw some squatters in very shabby conditions.
What?
Sheltering beneath a flyover in very poor conditions. It was very hot. They did not have anything to cover their bodies with. Then I started questioning, and when I was a child, I was taught that cause and effect works in the universe, and that there's some logic behind everything. But some random suffering, undeserved, unnecessary suffering, that seems to question me and seems to sometimes drain all energy out of my being, because I'm a very practical man otherwise. I try to focus on the positive things in life. But the thought doesn't escape my mind easily that maybe I have been very lucky. Some of us have been very lucky, and randomly so. I've had the luck of being born in a relatively well-to-do family, and I have been lucky enough to have a good body, a good mind, everything. But random bad thing seems to happen to people. Just the other day I saw a very critically deformed child, and I'm not able to make peace with all this, and my mind is not able to process all this, and I try to ignore, of course, I try to ignore and move on with my life. But all this seems to affect me. Do you have any practical advice for that? I mean, I'm sure you also would have these thoughts coming into you. How do you make peace with that? That's about it.
No, it is good. You see, you have such sort of warm feeling, and a sense of sort of the concern of others' well-being. It is wonderful. It is wonderful. Then you see, sometimes you see too much suffering when we saw, and then that suffering, the feeling of suffering overwhelming yourselves. Now here, wisdom, very important. Wisdom have important role. You see, much sort of sense of concern of others' suffering, but that will not damage your sort of enthusiasm. And then, for example, you see, the serving other people, you see, sometimes you may feel a little bit sort of proud, right? Or you've done something very good, but never because of develop, because of the pride. Or egoistic. That also with help of wisdom. So, all this compassion combined with wisdom. Wisdom means accept reality, understanding reality. So the reality, there are a lot of problems. Then I think in some extent, I think those problems which we created, that we can, if we make attempt or effort, we can reduce. But basic problem like illness, death, so we cannot overcome that. It's part of nature. If you believe God, ask God, why God created that? Then ancient Indians or say a concept of karma. Each individuals or say they experience very much related with one's own karma. Karma means action. So this also you see related with the concept of rebirth. Then very complicated, large because of the field.
It's rather on a large scale.
Among the religious tradition, you see there are two kinds. One believe just this life created by God. Next life is either heaven or hell. Then like Jain philosophy, Buddhist philosophy, no beginning of self, no beginning of mind. So on that basis, life after life. So some of today's our sort of experience, some cases related with previous life's action. So these are complicated. Okay, so I think I appreciate your feeling when you saw some suffering. You some kind of
You find when you see suffering, you find it unbearable.
That's good, but then should be practical, realistic. Okay, that's I do that. Sometimes, now for example, the killing in the name of religion and suffering, a lot of suffering in Iraq, Iran, mainly now, in Syria. Sometimes I feel tear come. There is so danger to overwhelm. But then think more realistic. Whatever sort of way, because of some possibility there, making effort. Something beyond our sort of,
Beyond our ability, capability.
So nibe samle kya na, simdu che ko kemdo.
So when something is beyond your capability, beyond you, it doesn't actually help to worry so much as well.
But your sense of concern of others' suffering, that's very precious, very good. So as sort of DC, as a DC, with that kind of feeling, you see your work will be more effective, and other people respect you more. If just to carry your name and to do certain things. And worst, corruption. Then people lose faith. So this feeling is the key factor. You see your life clean. And with that feeling, you can carry your life truthful, honest, not a double face. Sometimes some sort of people, it seems double face, saying something nice, doing something different. That is actually against the basic human nature. Basic human nature is more compassionate. Compassion and honesty go together. Clear? So human being, social animal. Friendship is key factor. In order to develop friendship, trust is basis of friendship. In order to develop friendship, not money, not power, not just mere education, but honest, truthful, transparent. Then trust comes.
I'm Dr. Jigmet, working as a soil water engineering. Nowadays, I took small initiative towards water conservation and water pollution, because the concern I'm really, because during my study time, I saw a people who is dying because of water pollution, waterborne disease. And from Ladakh itself, I saw such people. And now I took, beside my research, I'm doing awareness to every people, every students also during my Saturday time. And the main, this is one request. If you please, during your teaching, if you please speak small words on water, then I will be very thankful.
I very much appreciate your work.
Thank you, sir.
The environment issue is a worldwide issue. World becoming more hotter, global warming. So due to that, nowadays, North Pole, the ice now rapidly melting. Lot of problem. So since many years, you see, I suggested, you see, till it's some water, some snow there, so source of water still there. So now utilize fully, and then should plant more trees. So that since many years I express. Now today also I want to repeat that. So, till you see some waters there, and we should utilize. Even one drop of water we must utilize. And some occasion I publicly mentioned in Kargil area, some occasion by helicopter. So I noticed in Kargil area, it's a small land. They cultivate it, and on because of the hillsides always, hill slopes always. Slope. You see the canal, right?
Canals.
Canals. Lot of canals. And here Ladakh, I think you too holy, lazy. You should work hard. There are a lot of empty land. Should cultivate. And meantime, plantation, very important. So then Himalayan range, I have some special responsibility, because Bahuna, you know.
Bahuguna.
Have you heard? Bahuna.
Bahuguna.
No.
Bahuguna.
Whether now he alive or not, I don't know. One time, he gave me responsibility. Whenever you go to Himalayan range, you must speak about ecology. I promised. So that's my sort of one responsibility. So I appreciate as one individual thinking seriously this. So the initiative must come from one individual. Then more people, let them know the important task, these things. So in public level, in my teaching, certainly I tell. Okay.